Dela writes, my MVVs, welcome.
Ooni of Ife allegedly, swore before his board of directors when the announcement was being made that Dr. Lizzy has now a substantial amount of share has now been, given to Dr. Lizzy. When the introduction was being made, Ooni of Ife made it very clear that Dr. Lizzy happens to be his biggest cheerleader, that every king needs a woman as strong, as precise, as loyal as Dr. Lizzy. And this announcement is not something that is, looking good. Like other wives are just in a good place. They are just in a bad place, unhappy with what is going on in the palace. That's why they say it's good to be good. When the announcement was finally made, it was in the Grand Conference Hall of Equity Hospital during a joint gathering of the hospital board of directors and the council of, Ife elders, who also serve as silent trustees in many of Ooni of Ife's venture. The Ooni had called this special meeting under the pretext of reviewing the hospital's third quarter performance. But as the gathering settled, it became clear there was nothing more profound unfolding. Standing tall in his flowing white, robe with delicate, gold pattern, the Ooni of Ife spoke as in so well about, Dr. Lizzy, okay, that they say the way Kabiyesi stood, they knew that it was something else that was coming, not the usual meetings that they normally have. As the chairman of the hospital board finished presenting financial statement, the Ooni rose, signaling that he wished to speak. The entire room fell into a respectful hush. What he said next was not just about business, it was deeply personal, a glimpse into his heart that few had ever been privileged to witness. With calm but firm word, the Ooni declared that the time had come to openly recognize Dr. Lizzy's unmatched contribution to Equity Hospital and to his life as a whole. He spoke of how, from the earliest blueprint to the cutting of the first ribbon 3 years ago, Dr. Lizzy had been by his side. He explained how her insight had guided everything from the choice of architectural design to the layout of the intensive care unit, how her her connections in Europe had saved the hospital millions by securing high-grade medical equipment, and how her software system had reduced, patient management error by more than 60%. Then, turning slightly towards Dr. Lizzy, who sat composed yet visibly moved, he said before all gathered that Dr. Lizzy was not just an advisor, not just a wife, not just a board member. She is his greatest cheerleader. His voice, thickened with emotion as he confessed that every king, no matter how vast his empire or strong his throne, needs a pillar behind him, someone whose quiet encouragement becomes a fortress that shields him through all from unseen battle. For him, that person was Dr. Lizzy. Before he continued, he paused, almost as though weighing the gravity of his next word. Then, looking directly at the circle of Ife elders, custodian of tradition, who rarely witnessed such vulnerable declaration, he raised his right hand and solemnly, swore that Dr. Lizzy's support had been one of the single biggest reason he had found the courage to navigate some of the most delicate seasons of his life, including the stormy period when he sought to reconcile with Queen Naomi. He said Dr. Lizzy had advised him with both wisdom and heart, reminding him that true leadership was not only about commanding respect, but also about knowing when to pause, okay, and when to pursue happiness that completes one soul. Turning again to the board of directors, the Ooni declared that this is why he has chosen to make Dr. Lizzy a substantial shareholder and place her formally on the hospital, directorship, a role that came with not just influence but a long-term stake in the hospital future. He added that it was not just a gesture of favoritism but a merited acknowledgement of the intellectual, emotional, and financial investment she had poured into the hospital from the very start. It is not a small something, oh. Some of the directors nodded in agreement, others simply watched with curiosity, but among the elders, there was a noticeable silence. They understood the depth of what was being laid bare in royal circles. Kings rarely speak with such, candor about their private affection. All admitted dependence on any wife. For the Oni to do so before they meant that Dr. Lizzy held a place that in fact transcend palace hierarchy and traditional, their traditional buhaha in the palace. So this is what we are hearing. If the information is correct, I'm going to bring you more update. Do not forget that these are all alleged, rumoured, and verified information making the rounds on social media and should not be seen as fact.